In the cold silence of deep space, Earth's oldest listening station, Outpost Eco 7, sat forgotten on the edge of the Kuiper Belt. It had been nearly 70 years since anyone received anything unusual there, but that changed on a quiet night shift. When technician Mara Lynn heard a strange clicking sound in her headset, she frowned, checked the settings, and then her eyes went wide. The signal was real. It wasn't just any signal, it carried the Earth fleet code of the ESS Horizon. A ship that had vanished 7 decades ago near the edge of a black hole. "No way," she whispered. She ran the data again, checked the coordinates, and double-checked the encryption. The signal was weak, barely holding together, but it was clear enough to decode just a few words to any Earth ship. "This is Captain Rhodes of the Horizon. Do not come here. They're watching us." Mara sat frozen, heart pounding. She immediately sent the recording to Earth Command. Within hours, every major fleet officer and scientist was watching the signal on loop. The Horizon had been declared lost in the Singularity incident, most believed. The ship had been pulled into the black hole and destroyed. Others said it might have slipped into another dimension or timeline. No one ever expected to hear from it again. Now it was back, or at least something was pretending to be it. Earth's Special Response Division quickly launched a stealth vessel. The ESS Valiant, their mission was simple: follow the signal, find the Horizon, and bring back answers. On board the Valiant was Commander Elias Grant, a seasoned officer, who had grown up hearing stories about the Horizon and its brave crew. To him, this wasn't just a mission. It was history coming alive as the Valiant entered deep space. The signal grew stronger, but it began to distort, like something was bending it, twisting it. Sometimes they would hear other voices, strange whispers in unknown languages. At one point, the ship's AI claimed to detect an echo of the signal coming from 2 different places at once. "That's not possible," the AI said, "unless the source exists in more than one dimension." The crew grew uneasy. The deeper they went, the stranger space around them became. Stars seemed to shift positions when no one was looking. Time inside the ship felt slower, like something was pulling at reality itself. Then they saw it. Floating silently above a dead star was a massive shape. It was the ESS Horizon, untouched by time. Its metal hull still shining as if it had launched yesterday. "No damage," Commander Grant said in disbelief. "No decay, no signs of drifting." "But that ship's been gone for 70 years. They scanned for life, but there were none." The ship was cold, dark, and silent, except for the signal still broadcasting the same broken message. As they approached, the lights on the Horizon flickered on by themselves, like the ship knew they were coming. Docking procedures began automatically. No one pressed a button. But the airlocks aligned and opened with a hiss. "Commander," the science officer said quietly, "this isn't just strange. This feels wrong." Grant nodded, hand on his sidearm. He stepped into the Horizon. Flashlight cutting through the dark hallways, everything inside was perfectly clean, like the crew had just left moments ago. Photos of families still hung on the walls. Data pads were still running, meals were half-eaten. But no people, just silence. And then they found something strange in the control room. A black device attached to the ship's main power core. It was smooth, with no seams, made of a material no one could identify. It pulsed with a soft blue light, as if alive. "What is that?" The engineer whispered. "It's not human tech," someone answered. "But it's keeping the ship powered." As they studied it, the Horizon's AI came online. "Welcome back, Captain Rhodes," it said in a calm voice. "But you're not the captain." Everyone froze. The AI began repeating the warning from the signal: "Do not come here. They're watching us. Do not take it. They will know." Suddenly, every screen across both ships lit up with strange symbols. The black device pulsed harder, and a deep humming began to fill the air. Commander Grant gave the order to retreat, but as they turned to leave, the airlock behind them slammed shut. Locking with force, they were trapped inside the ghost ship. Something was waking up. Asterisk, the air inside the ESS Horizon felt strange. Not cold, not hot, but heavy, like the walls were holding their breath. Commander Grant stood in the hallway, staring at the locked airlock behind him. The ship had sealed itself, trapping his team inside. "Valiant, do you copy?" He said into his cum. Only static answered. Something was blocking communication. The team pressed forward carefully, weapons ready. Every corridor was untouched, yet it didn't feel abandoned. It felt alive. Lieutenant Rios, the ship's engineer, placed his hand on one of the walls. "It's warm," he whispered, "like it's breathing." As they moved toward the bridge, strange things started happening. Lights turned on ahead of them before they arrived. Doors slid open automatically, even though no one activated them. The ship was responding as if it remembered them, but none of them had ever served on the Horizon. On the bridge, the captains' chairs still faced the front window. Data screens glowed softly with power. Grant approached one terminal and tapped the console. The ship responded instantly, showing logs, maps, and status reports. But the dates were impossible. Some logs were from 4 hours ago. Others were from 50 years in the future. The timeline was broken, twisted, like the ship existed outside of normal time. "What happened to the crew?" asked Dr. Chen, the mission scientist. She accessed medical files. Every crew member was listed as alive, but no life signs were detected, as if their bodies had vanished, but their presence had not. Suddenly, a soft hum filled the room. The black alien device near the engine core began to pulse again. It sent a surge of energy through the ship, and the AI spoke once more. "We crossed the veil." It said, "We were not alone." The bridge lights flickered, and shadows danced on the walls. The crew heard whispers, voices just out of reach. Strange symbols began appearing on the screens, then vanished before anyone could read them. Commander Rios said nervously. "That black device, it's fused to the ship's systems. It's not just keeping the ship alive, it's controlling it." Grant nodded, eyes narrowing. "Then we need to understand it." The team made their way to engineering. Where the device was located, it looked like a black crystal, smooth and solid. But it vibrated slightly like it was listening. Dr. Chen scanned it with a handheld tool. "This isn't in any Earth database," she said. Not even alien tech we've seen before. It's older." As she spoke, the device suddenly released a low-frequency pulse. The walls of the ship rippled like water, and for a moment the crew saw something, a vision like a memory not their own. They saw the horizon passing through a wormhole, a space that didn't follow the laws of physics beyond it, a place of light and shadow, a realm where reality bent and time broke. Strange beings of energy, with no fixed form, surrounded the ship, watching silently. One approached and touched the hull, leaving the black device behind. Then the vision ended. The crew stumbled back, breathing hard. They hadn't just seen it, they had felt it. The fear, the wonder, the weight of another world pressing into their minds. The crew didn't die. Grant said slowly, "They were taken or left behind." A voice echoed down the hallway. It was human, quiet and broken. "Help. Please." Everyone froze. "Was that a survivor?" Chen asked, eyes wide. The team followed the voice down into the lower decks. Where the lights were dim and flickering, there inside a medical chamber, they found a stasis pod half open, glowing softly. Inside was a man in Earth Fleet uniform. His nameplate read, "Captain Rhodes. He's alive," Rios whispered. The man's eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly with blue light. He looked at them, confused, afraid, and whispered, "Why did you come? You weren't supposed to come." Dr. Chen tried to speak gently. "Captain Rhodes, you've been missing for 70 years. We thought you were dead." He shook his head slowly. "To you maybe," he said, "but I've only been gone for a week." Everyone stared in shock. Time had moved differently for him. "They changed me," Rhodes said quietly. "The beings from the light, they gave us the device. As a test, but it was never meant to return." The hum began again, louder now. The device in engineering started to glow violently. The ship trembled, as if something was waking up deep inside it. "They're coming," Rhodes whispered. "They know you found us, and now they'll come looking." Captain Rhodes sat on the cold floor of the Horizon's medical bay. His back against the wall, his skin was pale, and his eyes glowed faint blue, like faint stars trapped inside him. He didn't blink often, and when he did, it was slows. If he was still caught between two worlds, Commander Grant crouched beside him, speaking softly, "Captain, you said they changed you. Who are they?" Rhodes didn't answer right away. Instead, he stared at the glowing black device displayed on a nearby monitor. "They don't have a name," he finally whispered. "They don't need one." He pointed to the device, his voice almost a breath. "That's not technology," he said. "It's a seed." The room went quiet. Dr. Chen frowned. "A seed?" Rhodes nodded slowly. "It grows," he said, "not into trees, but into minds, into systems. They planted it in our ship. They wanted to see if we could survive it." Everyone in the room stared at the screen, the alien object. An engineering pulsed again, and at that moment, the lights across the horizon dimmed. Grant tapped his earpiece. "Bridge, status report, no response, only static." He turned to Rios. "Stay with Rhodes," he said. "I'm taking a team back to the bridge." As they moved through the corridors, the air felt heavier than before. The walls whispered in a soft hum, and the temperature dropped. Even the lights flickered like they were unsure whether to stay on or go out. "Commander," whispered one officer, "I think the ship is changing." Grant didn't reply. He already felt that this wasn't the same horizon they'd boarded. Felt like something old had awakened inside the hull. When they reached the bridge, they found the screens displaying a strange star map, but none of the stars matched known galaxies. Dr. Chen recognized one of the symbols flashing on the screen. "That's a warning," she said slowly. "It was part of the vision we saw earlier." Suddenly, the ship's AI spoke again. "Protocol broken," it said in a distorted voice. "Observation ended. We are no longer alone." A chill ran down Grant's spine. He watched as the stars on the screen began to shift, the map folding in on itself like origami made of light. Then one star on the map turned red, then two, then five. "Those are not stars," Chen said softly. "They're ships. Outside the ship. Invisible to the human eye, but detected by the sensors." 5 glowing shapes appeared in space. They didn't have metal hulls or engines. They were made of energy, constantly shifting. Like light being refracted through crystal, they followed us, Grant whispered. "No," Chen replied, her voice trembling. They were always watching. Inside the medical bay, Rhodes stood suddenly. Eyes wide. "They're here," he said. "They've come to reclaim the seed." The alien ships outside didn't move, but the black device inside the horizon began to hum louder. And then it released a pulse sharp, invisible, but powerful, all over the ship. Systems went dark for a second, then came back online. But now, the Valiant, the Earth ship docked with the horizon, began to suffer system errors. "We're being infected," the Valiant's AI warned. "The foreign code is rewriting core functions." Grant gave the order. "Undock now." But it was too late. The docking clamps refused to disengage. The Valiant was locked, systems merging with the horizons. Back on the bridge, new messages flashed on the screen in symbols no one could read, and then a translated message appeared, clear and final: "Return the seed. Do not carry the echo back to your world." Chen looked at Grant. "They know we're going to take this tech back to Earth. They fear what we might become if we do." Rhodes stepped onto the bridge. Staring at the glowing screen, "They gave us a piece of themselves," he said. "Not to help us, but to study us, to see if humanity was ready." Grant turned to him. "And what's the answer?" Rhodes smiled sadly. "We failed." Outside, the 5 alien ships began to shift shape. Forming a circle around the horizon, the space around them started to bend. Like reality itself was folding inward, the black device glowed brighter than ever before. And from it, a voice, not machine, not human, inside every mind on board. "You carry danger." It said, "You carry hunger. You carry war." Rhodes fell to his knees, clutching his head. "They've seen our memories," he groaned. "They've seen Earth's past, our violence, our greed, our endless need to conquer." "They won't let us leave," Chen said quietly. "Not with what we've found." Grant stood still, looking at the alien ships outside, then at the glowing device inside, and finally at his crew. "We came for answers," he said. "Now we have them. But the question is, what do we do with the truth?" Asterisk, the air inside the horizon had changed. Not just the temperature or the smell, but something deeper, invisible, like the space itself, was now watching them. Commander Grant stood in silence as the alien warning echoed through his mind. "You." Carry war, it wasn't just a message. It was a judgment down in the engineering bay. The alien device pulsed again, brighter now, like a beating heart. Rio stared at it from behind a thick layer of shielding. The material around it had begun to shift, slowly changing color and texture. It was growing into the ship's systems. "Almost feeding off them, Commander," he called over the comm. "It's not a machine anymore." "It's becoming part of the ship-alive," Grant replied sharply. "Keep it contained."
Out.
"We can't let it spread to the Valiant." But it already had on the Valiant. Systems flickered. Lights dimmed and glowed again. The AI stuttered, repeating words in broken loops. One engineer officer, Vale, stared at a console where alien symbols had begun replacing English text. "What's happening?" she whispered. Her reflection in the screen blinked, but she hadn't. Her eyes widened in fear. Something was looking back at her through the glass. Back on the horizon, Dr. Chen was examining Captain Rhodes again. He sat still now, hands folded, eyes distant. His skin had taken on a strange shimmer under the light. Not metallic, not glowing, but shifting. "I think it's inside him," Chen whispered. The seed Rhodes turned slowly to face her. His voice flat, calm. "I brought it back with me," he said. "They didn't give it to us. They let it follow." Suddenly alarms. Blared motion sensors picked up movement in the lower deck, a sealed section with no access. Grant assembled a small team, weapons ready, and headed down. The lights flickered more as they descended. That's when they heard it, footsteps. But not human? The sound was wrong, like metal scraping against metal. They turned a corner and froze. A figure stood in the hallway, tall, dark, and alien. It looked almost human, but stretched, wrong in its shape. Its body was smooth and black, like living armor, with blue veins of light running through it. It tilted its head as it looked at. Then it spoke, not with words, but inside their minds. "You woke me." The team raised their rifles. But the figure didn't move. Instead, it slowly stepped back into the shadows. Vanishing without sound, Chen's voice came through the comm. "It's spreading fast," she said, panic in her tone. "The seed is converting the ship. If we don't stop it, it'll turn both vessels into..." Something else. Rios, still in engineering, began pulling power feeds, trying to isolate the device, but the wires melted in his hands, reforming seconds later. "It's adapting," he said, eyes wide, like it knows what we're trying to do on the bridge. Grant made a decision. "We need to leave," he said. "Get to the Valiant. Cut the docking clamps manually. If we can't stop this, at least we can keep it from reaching Earth." The crew ran for the docking tunnel. But the corridor was already changing. Walls rippled like liquid, forming new patterns. Doors fused shut behind them as they passed one section. They heard whispering voices, speaking in unknown languages. Some crew members claimed they saw hands reaching from the walls. Others swore they saw their own shadows moving in different directions. Rhodes followed silently, never speaking. His eyes glowed brighter now, and he didn't blink at all. They reached the docking area, but found the clamps locked in place. Manual override panels were fused shut. "We're not getting out this way," Chen said, breathing hard, "unless we cut the hole." Before Grant could answer, the lights went out completely. Darkness swallowed the hallway. Only the alien blue glow from Rhodes's eyes remained. Then a low growl echoed through the metal, followed by footsteps, many of them. This strange figure from before returned, but now there were more, 5 of them. Maybe 6, crawling from vents, rising from the floor, stepping from walls that melted open like doors. They were shaped like people, but moved like smoke and shadow. Weapons didn't fire, electronics locked down, even the air felt too heavy to breathe. But then Rhodes stepped forward, raising one hand. The creatures stopped, watching him, and then slowly they knelt. "What the hell?" Rios whispered. Rhodes turned to them all, voice cold, distant. They obeyed the seed. he said. And the seed obeys me. Grant raised his rifle, hand shaking. Are you still human, Captain? Rhodes looked at him with sadness in his glowing eyes. I don't know, he said. But I do know this. They won't let us go. Because we didn't just bring something back, we brought them. Captain Rhodes stood before the crew, no longer just a man. His body shimmered with strange light, and his voice echoed slightly, as if layered with something alien behind him. The shadow-like creatures knelt in silence, watching but not attacking, Commander. Grant stared at Rhodes, heart pounding. He wanted to believe the man they found was still human. But everything, the glowing eyes, the calm control, the unnatural presence, said otherwise. You said the seed obeys you, Grant said quietly. Rhodes nodded. It speaks to me. I can feel the ship, the systems, even your thoughts, Doctor. Chen stepped forward, cautious but curious. Are you saying you've merged with it? Rhodes looked at her, and for a moment, his eyes softened. I didn't choose this, he said. When we crossed into the other side, the seed found me. It offered understanding. He placed a hand against the wall, and instantly, the metal shifted. A panel opened, revealing data logs, star maps, and alien code. I can see the future, he whispered. Not all of it, but the paths ahead. One leads to survival, the other. Extinction. Grant didn't lower his weapon. If you've become something else, how do we know which side you're on? Rhodes smiled faintly. That's the problem, he said. I don't think there are sides anymore, suddenly. A tremor rocked the ship outside. One of the alien vessels surrounding them pulsed with light. The otherworldly beings were responding. Not with words, but with energy. They see what I've become, Rhodes said, and they don't like it. Rios checked the sensors. They're charging something, could be a weapon. Grant turned to Rhodes. Can you stop them? Rhodes paused, as if listening to a voice no one else could hear, and nodded. I can try. He raised both hands. And the lights inside the horizon flickered wildly. Energy surged from the alien device, deep in engineering, flowing through the walls like blood in veins. A shockwave burst outward, passing through the hull. Touching the alien ships outside for a moment, the glowing vessels froze, their light dimming, then one of them cracked, splitting into shards of light that vanished. Into nothing. He destroyed one, Rio said in awe. Or disconnected it, Chen added. They might be part of something bigger. Like cells in a living being, but the attack had consequences. The horizon groaned. Metal straining, and systems began to overload. Grant shouted over the noise. This ship can't take much more. Rhodes turned to him, sweat beading on his brow. I can't hold them all back and protect you at the same time. You have to choose. Choose what? Grant yelled. Rhodes looked at the alien device's image on the screen. Let me merge completely, he said. I can use the seed to rewrite what I've become. It's not human, not aliens, something in between, something that can survive. Both worlds. Chen hesitated. That might kill you. Rhodes gave a small laugh. I think the man I was died the moment I stepped into that light. Another wave of force hit the ship, this one stronger. Panels burst, sparks flew, and the Valiant began losing oxygen on one deck. Grant cursed under his breath. If we let you do this, what happens next? Rhodes's eyes flared. Then I become what they fear. Earth gains a protector the galaxy will never expect. The alien ships outside began to reform, their lights gathering again. Time was running out. Grant lowered his weapon. Do it, Rhodes nodded, turned, and walked toward the core room. The alien device pulsed. Sensing him, he stepped inside, placed both hands on the glowing surface, and closed his eyes. The seed responded. A surge of light filled the room, so bright it burned through the metal. Everyone had to look away. When the light faded, Rhodes was gone. But something else stood in his place. A tall figure made of shimmering energy in human form, glowing veins of blue and gold running under its skin. Its face was calm, peaceful but filled with raw power. I remember the voice said, "But I am no longer Rhodes. I am something new." The alien ships outside halted, scanning the horizon then. Slowly they began to back away. One by one, they vanished into the folds of space. Not defeated, but perhaps respecting the evolution that had taken place. Inside the ship, silence returned. The system stabilized, and power was restored. The infection had stopped. Grant stared. At the new being, you said there were two paths. The figure nodded. Yes, it said. And you chose the one where we survive. Asterisk, the alien ships vanished into the dark like ghosts. Their glowing forms disappeared one by one, slipping between dimensions. But Commander Grant knew it wasn't over. They hadn't been defeated. They had only paused inside the horizon. Silence had returned. The strange hum from the alien device was gone. The metal walls no longer pulsed like veins. The ship felt still, but Rhodes was no longer there. In his place stood a new being. Not fully human, not fully alien. He looked like a man, but light danced beneath his skin. His voice was calm, deep, and echoed slightly, like it spoke from somewhere far beyond. The ship, I have stabilized the infection, he said. The seed is no longer growing. Grant looked around, eyes cautious. And the aliens? They've seen what I've become, the figure replied. They do not fear Earth. They fear what Earth could become. The crew of the Valiant returned to their ship. Finally able to undock from the horizon, system scans showed the infection had stopped spreading. No more alien symbols, no more whispering shadows. But something lingered, not just in the ship's systems, but in the minds of those who had touched the alien tech. Visions, fragments, strange dreams that felt too real. Dr. Chen called it tech resonance. Rios called it ghost code. Grant didn't care what it was. He just wanted to get back to Earth and report everything. But Rhodes, no. The being he had become, didn't agree. You cannot return, the figure said. Not yet. Grant frowned. You want to keep us out here? You carry data too dangerous to share. Unfiltered, the being replied. If this knowledge reaches Earth too soon, your kind will use it to build weapons. Grant folded his arms. You think we can't handle it? The figure didn't answer directly. Instead, he opened a screen in the air. It showed Earth not as it was now, but as it could become, in the image. Cities floated in the sky. Powered by alien energy, ships larger than mountains hovered in orbit. But beneath that, beauty. War, humans fighting humans with technology they didn't understand. Entire continents wiped clean in seconds. This is one possible future, the figure said. Power before wisdom leads to extinction. Grant's hands curled into fists. So what, you want to hide this from humanity? No, said the being. I want to prepare you, he turned to Chen. You've seen the seed, he said. You understand its logic. She nodded slowly. It's not just a tool, she whispered. It's a test. Rio stepped forward. Confused? A test for what? For restraint, the being replied. For responsibility. The ones who left it behind, those beings of light, they give knowledge to species ready to evolve. And if we fail that test, Grant asked, voice cold. The being didn't answer. He just looked at the screen again. This time the image showed Earth from space, burning, dark, silent.
Oh.
Then they erased the mistake, that night, as the crew prepared for long-range jump. The stars above began to shift. Another signal came through, this one from Earth. But it wasn't a call for help, it was a warning. Unidentified object approaching solar system. The message said, size unknown, velocity beyond light speed. Grant's heart dropped. They followed us, he said. We didn't just bring something back, we brought their attention within hours. The object entered the solar system's edge. Telescopes on Earth and Mars locked onto it. What they saw made every military force on the planet panic. It was not a ship, it was something larger. A moving structure that blotted out stars like a spaceborne city built from mirrors and light. The being aboard the Horizon turned to Grant. They are not here to talk, he said. They're here to judge. Inside Earth Command, chaos spread. Leaders demanded answers. Science divisions tried decoding the object's signal. Religions began to pray, and citizens looked to the sky in fear. Then the alien object did something strange. It broadcasted directly into every human mind. No screens. No speakers, just a voice inside everyone's head. Your kindness touched what you do not understand. You were warned. This is the consequence. Riots broke out. Governments collapsed into emergency mode. but amid the fear, hope still flickered back on the horizon. Grant looked at the being that was once Rhodes. He said there was another path. Yes, the being said, there always is. Grant narrowed his eyes. Then let's make sure Earth chooses it. Earth stood on the edge of destruction above the solar system. A colossal alien structure hovered silent, vast, and alive. It blocked out the stars, its mirrored surface reflecting thousands of eyes back at the world below. No one could hide from it. Its message had reached every human mind. You touched the seed. You are not ready. Panic gripped the planet. The United Earth Command activated every defense system. Missiles were aimed at the sky. But even the generals knew no weapon on Earth could scratch what floated. Above them, in orbit, aboard the horizon, Commander Grant watched the chaos unfold. He looked at the glowing figure that used to be Captain Rhodes. Half human, half Phalian, the being stood calmly, the only person or thing who might stop what was coming. They'll wipe us out, Grant said quietly, unless we give them what they want. The being nodded. They want the seed back. They want the knowledge erased. Dr. Chen stepped forward. But we've already changed, she said. The seed is part of our code now. The being's voice was low and steady. You're right. To destroy the knowledge now would break your world. Grant turned to him, eyes sharp. Then what's the alternative? The being didn't answer immediately. He walked to the center of the Horizon's command deck and raised both hands. A map appeared in the Aristar chart filled with hidden coordinates, distant galaxies, and strange symbols. In the center was Earth, glowing like a candle in the dark. There's a third path, he said. Not war, not surrender, but transformation. Grant narrowed his eyes. What does that mean? The being turned slowly. I leave, he said. I take the seed with me, what's left of it. I become the echo they fear. Chen's eyes widened. You'll fight them? No, the being said calmly. I'll lead them away. I'll become the unpredictable variable, the human choice they didn't plan for. Ack! Grant stepped closer. But if you leave, what happens to us? You rebuild, the being replied. You grow without the seed, not with stolen power, but with earned wisdom outside. The alien structure began to change. Its surface pulsed with color, forming a pattern that matched the star map. The countdown had begun. Earth had minutes left. Grant's voice cracked. You're giving up your life. The being smiled softly. No, he said. I'm becoming something more. He stepped into the airlock chamber, and the alien device pulsed one final time. It lifted from its place, floated into his hands, and began to fuse into his body. Light and energy swirled around him, forming wings of plasma and memory, Dr. Chen whispered. He's becoming the seed. The horizon began to shake, not from damage, but from the presence of something ancient watching. The alien structure above Earth was responding. Grant opened a final comm channel to Earth. This is Commander Grant aboard the Horizon, he said. Tell the people not to fear. Tell them we didn't run. We chose. The being no longer Rhodes. No longer. Man looked back one last time. You're more than they expected, he said. Now prove it. He launched from the ship with a burst of impossible speed, a streak of light trailing behind him like a comet made of thought and soul. He flew straight toward the alien structure. It reacted instantly. Folding in on itself like paper burned by fire, a tear opened in space black. Endless, roaring with pressure, the being vanished through it, and the alien structure followed. Collapsing in on itself, gone in a flash, then silence, stars returned. To the sky, Earth systems came back online. People looked up and saw hope instead of doom. On the horizon, the crew sat in stunned silence. Rios finally spoke. Did he win? No, Grant said softly. He changed the rules. Weeks later, Earth began to change. Not with stolen alien tech, but with purpose. Humanity had seen the Ajan pulled back. The Valiant returned home carrying only logs, memories, and a warning. Grow with caution. Reach with respect. The Horizon was sent beyond the solar system and crewed, drifting, silent, a monument to the day humanity made a choice. Years passed, but stories of the glowing man, the being who faced the unknowable, Spread through space, they called him the Echo Knight, the one who left. So others could stay, and somewhere deep in the dark, beyond galaxies and gods. He still moved, not as a hero, not as a weapon, but as a question the universe would never stop asking. The end.